Thanks for tuning in to watch The Ordinary Filmmaker. Today I'm reviewing the Pergear 512GB CFexpress card, and that's a Type B card. When I first got the R5, I wasn't so sure that I really needed CFexpress cards, and I kind of hemmed and hawed. I thought V90 cards would more than do the job. But as I looked at what was available to purchase, I found out pretty quickly that, well, SD cards just weren't fast enough. Even V90 cards topped out on a read speed of around 300 megabytes per second, whereas even the slowest CFexpress cards were multiples of 2 times that. So I went out and purchased a Cobalt CFexpress card. It was a 325 gigabyte unit, and I paid $550 for it, which is quite a bit. But this card has a minimum sustained write speed of 1400 megabytes per second, 1.4 gigabytes per second, and that's bytes, not bits. Whereas the Pergear 512 gigabyte CFexpress card is $314. I mean, that's pretty much the same price as a V90 SD card, $314. Let's put this into perspective. Let's take a look at what's on the market in the 512 gigabyte space. The SanDisk Extreme Pro goes for $569. The Sony Tough cards are $649. Lexar, $549. ProGrade, $479, not for the Cobalt card, and Angelbird, $499. So $314 seems pretty cheap, doesn't it? So when Pergear reached out to me and asked if I'd be willing to do a review of the product, I said yes. I mean, at $314, the price is perfect. The only question left to me was, how do they perform? Are they durable? The first thing I do with any storage, whether it be SD cards, CFexpress cards, or even solid-state drives, is I test them to make sure they're fake, whether they come from the manufacturer or whether they come through Amazon or some other third party. I want to make sure that before I get in the field, these cards aren't fake in any way whatsoever, and the speeds are, well, what I can expect to get from them in performance, knowing whether they can sustain the speeds that I'm looking for. So there's one program I use all the time. It's called F3 Write. There's also F3 Read. They both come in the same package. Now, if you're on a Windows machine, you're going to want to use H2 Test. So let's take a look at the results I got. I formatted the card, put it in the computer, and I told F3 Write to go do its thing. So what it does is it writes to every single block in 1 megabyte sizes, and then it gives you the speed for each one. And then by the time you get all the way to the bottom, it says, look, I've written to every block on this card, and here's the speed sustained as a mean of all those writes. And this is what surprised me. The Pergear 512 gigabyte was only able to reach about 400 megabytes per second. Now, this is quite a bit slower than other cards I've tested. Now, personally, I use Angelbird for pretty well all my audio-video needs because, well, I've just come to trust Angelbird. They've worked really well for me. They have a very good price per gigabyte performance, and I really can't beat them in terms of capacity. And I was able to get right around, I think it was 700, 800, 900, and 1,000 megabytes per second, and the ProGrade, being a speed demon that it was, got even higher than that. So when I saw 400 megabytes per second, I thought, well, okay, maybe there's an issue with F3 Write. So I went and used an industry standard. I used Blackmagic's test application to see what speeds it got. And it did notice a difference, but it's also writing at 5 gigabytes at a time. It's not writing to the entire card, so you could argue that F3 is more accurate. Blackmagic Test said it was able to get up to, I recorded as high as 400 or 520 megabytes per second. The card on the front of the package, and I gotta admit, the packaging is really, really nicely done here. It's got this wood grain box that it comes in, and it's a really, really nice design. That and the card reader, and by the way, I'm using the same card reader that they sent me. I'm not using an Angelbird card reader. I'm not using a ProGrade card reader. I'm using the Pergear card reader. But on the box here, you can see that the read speed up to 1,600 megabytes per second. Again, these are bytes, not bits. And the write speed up to 1,200 megabytes per second. That's a huge difference from what I was getting, around 400 or 500. Now, caveats aside here, full disclosure. These applications, F3 Write and Blackmagic Test, you're not going to get the same speeds as what you'll get in the camera. These cards are designed to work in cameras and they perform differently. But still, I thought that's a huge difference. And when I got a speed like that, I thought, well, okay, first of all, reach out to the company and ask them for what they think. And they did tell me that those numbers on the cover do represent the best case scenario, and that's true with all of them, which is why in the past I never really trusted the numbers on the case. I listened to reviews or read reviews, and lately those reviews are becoming less trustable. So once I buy a product, that's one of the reasons I run it through the test, to make sure that it's fast enough for what I'm going to need it for. So the very first test I didn't go out and shoot 4K HQ, I didn't shoot 1080, I didn't shoot, burst mode, a whole bunch of raw photos at a time. I decided to shoot what would give the camera the hardest time. So I shot 8K raw. That's right, not all I shot 8K raw, and I shot it for about 27 minutes. I think it was around 25 to 27 minutes until, as you can see here, the Canon R5 overheats. So the fact that I was able to go for 25, 27 minutes, 8K raw, sustained, shows that the card is more than capable of handling what most mirrorless and DSLR cameras can handle. So yes, the write speeds aren't the fastest, but again, this goes back to that price, $314 for a 512 gigabyte card. So the Angel Bird that I normally use on the camera, which is a 2 terabyte, can certainly record the same 8K raw, no problem, but I can get the content off the card faster. And of course, the Pro Grade, I can get the content off the card even faster. And this is where your use case really depends on whether this card is right for you or not. So I like to look at use cases, and one use case is you're a professional, you use your camera, whenever you start clicking, you're making money. You're making money for yourself, or you're making money for your clients. It's a business, and you need the fastest speeds you can get. You need to be able to record whatever your camera can do, whether it's 8K, 12K, whether it's 100 frames per second in burst mode, you need that speed. Now, this card can handle that, but when it comes to moving the content off the card and onto the computer, you're going to receive a bit of a bottleneck. So I don't think this card is designed for you. Now let's look at another group. You just bought your favorite camera. You're a hobbyist. You do this for fun. You're kind of like me. You shoot family videos, but a lot of times you're going out there. This is how you spend your free time. So you save up, you save up, you save up, and you get the camera that's right for you. For me, it was the R5. For others, it might be the A7 III, the A7 IV, the A7S III, the 5D Mark IV, the Panasonic S1. And you put all your money into the body, knowing you would eventually be able to afford the lenses. You probably bought one lens as a package, but then you looked at the cost of storage and thought, maybe I can just use my SD cards for the meantime, but I really want to get a CFexpress card. And for you, when you look at the price of $314 for 512 gigabytes, that gets you out of the door. That gives you something fast that you can not only record up to 8K video, and the Sony Alpha 1 can easily handle, well, this card can easily handle the 8K on the Sony Alpha 1 because it doesn't use all it uses a compression mode. And for the photos, no problem. But you're going to pay a little bit and taking longer to get them off the card. Like I said, I initially bought the Pro Grade Cobalt card. It's super fast. It has really fast read speeds, really fast write speeds. And of all the cards I own, it's really the fastest to get content off. And now there's the second group, which is kind of me. You use it as a hobby, that's one use case, and I use it for business in another aspect, which is YouTube. And if you're starting out for YouTube, then yes, this is good because you're looking at $314. It's good enough until you can get something faster, because if you're producing long videos, like Louis Rossmann, where I don't think he has a video shorter than 24 minutes, that's a huge amount of time. If you can save 10 or 20 minutes on a transfer, then you definitely want to do that. And of course, there's the fourth scenario where you can use something like a Ninja 5, which I'm using right now. It's right here. I can see my waveforms, my histograms, and all that stuff, and I'm recording directly to it, so I can record in the heat without the camera shutting down. But, you're looking at around $1,000. Yes, you can get the unit for around $400 to $600 based on when it's on sale, but there's all that other stuff you need with it. So $314 for a 512 gigabyte card provides really, really good value. The real big question is, do I recommend this card, and do I recommend it to everybody? Well, as you just watched the segment on different use cases, no, I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. If you're a professional, time is money. Well, then the faster the better. Whether you're spending $400 on a card or $900 on a card, that $500 can easily be made up in the time savings. If you're wasting, half an hour to an hour a day transferring content, that $500 is the break-even time for going to something faster and more expensive is easily made up. But if you're a hobbyist, if you shoot a lot of photos, whether they're in RAW, you shoot a lot of 4K video, if you're a hobbyist and you don't mind taking a little longer to get the content off the cards, then yeah, I think so. Now, the only thing I can't answer is durability and trustworthiness, because it hasn't been out long enough and I haven't had it long enough to be able to test it. What I recommend is, if you're watching this video and it's a month, 2 months, a year later, drop me a comment asking if I'm still using it and if it still lasts. But the good news is the company does provide a 5-year warranty on the cards, and that should tell you something. Now, some cards like SanDisk will offer you a lifetime, but you're definitely paying for that in the price. Others will offer even less. But the one question you might be wondering is, yeah, but Simon, is it something that you would purchase? Well, if I wasn't doing a channel and I was looking at this last year, then yeah, I probably would, because here in Canada, the camera alone after taxes was $6,000 Canadian. And then there was another, $1,200, $1,300 for the 24 to 105 f4. That's a lot of money. That's an awful lot of money for a hobby. And so $300 US worked out to be about $400 Canadian. So yeah, I definitely would have considered that. But for where I am today, because I have the channel, because I have a larger budget, I like those larger capacity cards like the Angelbird 2 terabyte cards. In my camera right now, I have 3 terabytes of storage. Well, with the exception of right now, because of course I'm shooting with the Pergear and I've been shooting with it for about 2 weeks. But when I'm going traveling, if I'm going to Europe, if I'm going to Vancouver, I'm going to be gone for a week or so. I know that by putting that 2 terabyte card in there, I don't have any sort of range anxiety. I'm not worried about filling up the card anytime soon. In fact, even just using it for the channel, I usually format it once every month or so. I love the fact that I can go back and pull content that is several weeks old. And that's really important to me. As I said, when I bought the R5, I bought the Pro Grade card because I thought speed matters, and to me, speed is not nearly as important as capacity. And for that reason, I won't be purchasing additional cards because I need at least a 1 terabyte. I would go 4 terabytes if I could. And I know Angelbird is looking at coming out with a 4 terabyte card. And that matters to me more. Yes, reliability and durability matters, which Angelbird gives me, so does Pro Grade. And we'll have to wait and see if Pergear does. But the capacity size matters to me much more than speed. So while the Pro Grade has a minimum write speed sustained of 1400 megabytes, I don't need that with the R5. So the Angelbird, I was able to drop down my sustained write speed to get a card that's much bigger in capacity. So the real question I have for Pergear is, when are you coming out with some 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte cards? There's only a few of them on the market, but I got to tell you, if you're just looking at starting out, get one of these 400 or 512 gigabyte cards from Pergear. But as you start to save up some more money, really consider getting like a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte card. And right now, the company I would go with for those is Angelbird. Pergear doesn't have that. Their 512 gigabyte card is the newest one on the market. And it is what I would consider the bare minimum if you're shooting video. Take it out, you're going to the city, you're going on a trip to Niagara Falls for the weekend. Yes, it should be more than enough capacity for that day and probably the weekend. But always take a portable drive with you, because there are those occasions where you shoot more than you think. And you know what? You should never be worrying about capacity when you're looking about capturing memories. Capture more than you need, so that way you're not disappointed later. So to sum up, yeah, I think for the price, this is a great bargain. $314 current price on the company's website, on Pergear's website, for the 512 gigabyte Type B CFexpress card. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. We'll see you again soon.